My 409, she's real fine. My 409, my 409. Well, I saved my pennies and I saved my dimes.
Giddy up, 409.
Before I knew there would be a time.
Giddy up, 409.
When I would buy a brand new 409. Welcome back, everybody, to Motor Slingers right here on
The Gunslinger
I raced boat, my
Syndicated.
first race boat, I had a 409 and it blown.
No kidding.
Oh.
Wow. That is such a cool motor. I absolutely love the heads. The
heads.
Yeah, you know a 409 just like that. And speaking of, let's get back to Tom in Temecula, who's got a question about sticking valve. Tom, what's going on?
Hey, back on the Packard question again.
Right.
Far be it from me to suggest any fixes to the Motorman, but I'm curious as to why on that engine you couldn't just bring it to top dead center with a wrench on the front of the crank, put an air chuck in the plug hole, and pressurize it with a compressor. And if the air comes out of the exhaust, it's your exhaust valve. If it comes out of the carburetor, it's your intake valve. Wouldn't that work on that engine?
Well, he's doing it in his backyard. No, he's got to go to a shop to do that. So where you can put compressor into the cylinder. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But you can't do it at home. You know, and I was giving him home tips.
Yeah, he said he didn't know anything about cars at all. So
Yeah, but his roommate does. And I thought everybody had a compressor.
I've got 3 or 4.
Then he has to have a special spark plug converted over to where you can put the air hose connect to it.
Got one.
Yeah, there you go.
I got him in my toolbox now.
Well, there you go. So, Robert, come on over to Tom's house down in Temecula.
He seemed to know that it already was stuck valve somewhere, and he didn't know where his intake or exhaust. That's why I told him pull the side cover off and look at that.
I've never had an engine with a side cover that would come off. Like to blow it off.
Yeah, and usually with Leon offering 500, and I'd kick in an extra 250, but we didn't even make him an offer, did we?
No, we didn't do it.
All right, Tom, thanks for the call.
All right, thank you, guys.
Again, Tom.
Okay, let's jump over. You know what? We haven't heard from her in a long time. Let's Antoinette over in Sunset Beach. How are you, Antoinette?
Antoinette.
Hey, hi guys. How's it going?
Good. How about you?
Hey, Antoinette. Great hearing from you.
There. This is exciting. Guns, planes, and cars. And Leon, I miss you Sunday mornings. Of course, on the radio.
I miss you too. Believe me, I really do. I miss all my listeners, and like I said earlier, they're all my friends. They weren't listeners.
Leon, I have a question, a car question. A dear friend left me a cute little thing. It's a Saturn, 2004. It just moved over to 150,000 miles, original miles. And I understand, because I have the catalytic converter, there's a lubricant called Seafoam. I'm afraid to put it in the car, but I've heard it will clean up and save that catalytic converter. What's your thought on that lubricant for cleaning up the catalytic converter? That's my question.
Well, I'm not sure about anything by putting in. Sometimes I do more damage putting in stuff to clean out a catalytic converter. Because if you catalytic converters work off of heat. They get hot, and it burns the excess fuel, is what a catalytic converter does, burns on burn. For every 10 gallons of gasoline a car burns, 1 gallon goes out unburned. For years, that was their motto. And so the catalytic converter does that, so it burns the fuel in itself. You start putting chemicals in there, and it doesn't agree. It can destroy that, where you got to buy a new catalytic converter.
And they ain't cheap.
So what's your suggestion? Nothing then at all?
Are you having any problem?
No.
Don't look for problems. That's what people.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right.
Well, my thought is, it runs great, my little car, and I just want to keep her running smooth and good.
Just take care of it. You're running the new gasoline. A lot of people, the old timers, start putting stuff in the gasoline more, and they damage the catalytic converter. You got to be careful with putting in the fuel today, unless it's not, equivalent for catalytic converters, or you're going to end up buying another catalytic converter.
All right, then, my love. Then I will not put anything in. I'll just enjoy this special present I got from my buddy.
That's right.
And listen, it's so wonderful to hear you. And you guys, take care. The show is still great. And I do definitely miss the guns as well as the airplanes.
Thanks,
We
Antoinette.
miss you, Antoinette.
We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's jump over to our friend Mike in El Segundo. How's it going, Mike?
Oh, it's going great, Jeff. And Leon, the Motorman, Leon Kaplan, it is so great to hear your voice again. I really miss you from your own show on that other station that used to be near the Seas Candy on Los Angeles Boulevard that moved to Culver City. But I really would like to see you have your own regular show again. KRLA would be a great place.
No, I'd be willing to do it. It's just that most all AM stations on the weekend have changed, and they want you to buy your time, and it's a big, it's a big change, and they don't have to have salespeople there or anything. It's a cash cow for radios now.
That's a real shame. But anyway, I'll never forget your show, and I'm really delighted every time you come on the Gunslinger show. So
thank you very
for coming.
much.
And Jeff, thank you for having Leon.
George and I are both excited about it, so we enjoy it as well.
That is great. I got some car questions. So first one is a 1998 Toyota Avalon. Hold on a sec. Hey, Marianne, it's 1998, right? Yeah, 1998 Toyota Avalon. The dial on the dashboard that you rotate to direct the air from the heating and air conditioning, which vent holes it comes out of, that thing's not working no matter what position it's in. The air always comes out, like for defogging the front windshield. And a mechanical linkage? Is it electrical? Could there be a problem with maybe a blown fuse? Do you have any idea?
That may be vacuum. That may be vacuum operated, and you may have a vacuum leak. They have what we call vacuum motors, and it opens the little flaps and lets the air come out the defroster. Then it lets it comes out on the heat on the floor. And I think that model will be vacuum. The later models have sometimes electric motors in them, but if you got a vacuum leak, that's the whole problem.
Does that mean a vacuum leak under the hood in the engine compartment?
Possible.
Like an air hose?
It's possible. You got to start from there and go in. If you got good vacuum going in, then it could be inside the vehicle. But it could be most of the time. I can tell you, most of the time it's outside the vehicle.
Oh, you mean when you say outside, you mean outside the passenger compartment, but under the hood, or what?
No, under the hood where the engine is, and you got to check vacuum hoses that go into the firewall. I call it the firewall. That's the metal plate, but feeding the inside of the vehicle with vacuum. So if you got a leak,
go ahead. Yeah.
If you got a vacuum leak out there, that'll solve all the problem. The heater won't work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it may be real easy to fix then. Wow.
Sure.
Okay, and then the shifter, when we put it in drive, the light, just for the D for drive, does not come on. The lights above it come on, the lights below it come on. So it seems weird that maybe there's one light bulb for each
What
position.
light? Well, I don't follow. What light you talking about?
This is the same car. It's the indicator light for what gear you're in. So when you put in drive, the D letter the light does not come on behind it, but all the other letters, and for neutral or first gear 1, whatever, the light.
Well, it may be a bad bulb or something in there, a little light bulb.
Would that be easy for me to get into the dashboard and fix, or is it hard? It's hard to get to those bulbs.
Is it on the dash or on the console in the center?
It's on the dashboard.
Yeah, that's a little harder to get underneath the dash.
I see. Okay, I wanted to ask you about 4-cylinder cars. Say buying a new car.
Mike, last question because we got a bunch of more calls to get to. Go ahead.
Can you just tell me if 4-cylinder cars are they like way too underpowered? Don't even think about it.
No.
Not turbocharged or anything. So something like the Nissan Altima, which is 4-cylinder, is that really just underpowered? Don't get one or what?
Not the new ones. No, it's got plenty of power.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Even without turbocharge?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Today's market, the way they built the engines today, it's got a lot of power. Unless you want a hot rod. I mean, it's not going to be a hot rod, no speed limit.
No, don't need that.
And
then there's a little push button right on the rear of the selector that puts into like a sports shifter mode, sports shift points or something. And I was wondering, is that it all like harder on the transmission? Will that wear out your transmission?
No, it's built for that.
Okay. Mike, we got to go. We'll talk to you later.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
thanks, Mike. God bless you.
Let's jump over to Dave in Whittier. It never fails. We always get 1,000 calls right at the end. Go ahead, Dave. What can we do for you?
Hey there. Several comments, but I'd like to thank your guest for his expertise. I was hoping that he would have a YouTube show, that you can do that. But I want to ask you a question, something I got in the email, and I had been concerned about, and that was the outrageous emissions regulations. They did they did this on all cars. You reach a certain mileage, and you're at risk because of the smog test. It's pretty rough on these old cars, and they will make you get a catalytic converter at some point, because of the mileage, and they'll say you can't pass until you do that. But the thing I got in the mail was about this bill that will it protect classic cars from all this stuff, and that's what it was suggesting. So what do you know about that? And I want to ask you guys, I sent you an email. Can you, and sing along with this? I sent an email, the happiest pop song on earth. It's Moonlight by the Starlight Vocal Band. You can do that. Did you get that email?
I don't think we did, but...
can you do that?
I don't know what the question was.
Well, he's asking about emissions on old cars, but I don't think you have to do that up to like 1976 or something, 78. It used to be 74, but...
Yeah, 74.
It's still 70. So anything prior to 1974, you don't have to do anything. They're exempt from all that crapola.
See, the catalytic catalytic converters didn't come out to 75.
So yeah, if you get
that was a separate issue that I wanted to mention about how rough those smog tests are and what they tell you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can't have your car if it's at certain miles, but that's good news about those classic cars.
Yeah, it's been that way for a long time. Dave, we're running out of time. We got to go. Thanks for the call. And you know what, Ryan? How much time we got left? Okay, let's jump to Oscar in Canyon Country. Oscar, what can we do for you?
Good evening, Oscar.
Yeah, I picked up my guns yesterday from the auction.
Congrats.
And my son-in-law's dying to try them out.
Good.
Super. Love to hear it.
Yeah, and also, now, I heard you mention that, so it's 74, not 75, that's smog exempt on the older vehicles?
Yeah, I think 74.
74.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend and I have talked about that, and, just all the stuff that they put into the cars now, all the electronics, basically you have to have a computer science degree to work on them.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So, and the replacement it takes for getting the parts and stuff like that. So at least with the older ones, you can try, work on them also. And also, wasn't there... I remember another friend's dad talked back in the 80s about part of that problem with a lot of the cars running on the unleaded when they first started using them, that they were breaking down because it didn't have the lead to lubricate the engines.
Lubricate the valves. The exhaust valve only. The main thing, it cooled the exhaust valve. It cushioned it.
Now, is it? I think I'd read an article somewhere that is it the valves or was it the... I was thinking the piston rings that you had to change out so you'd be able to run your older cars on the unleaded and not having to use any of that lead substitute.
No, it was the valves. Strictly
it was the valves.
Lubricate the valves when it seats down, and unleaded fuel burns hotter.
Right.
And so that's why it damages the valves. Okay.
Now, do you switch to like a harder metal valve?
Yes. They put a different valve seat in there where the valve comes down. You're talking about we're losing some of the people, but listeners, due to the fact that inside the engine, you got an exhaust valve, and it comes down and sits on a seat. And the seat was an iron seat originally. Okay. And then now, if you're going to keep an engine, when you rebuild the engine, you put a steel seat in there, and that solves that problem.
Okay.
All right. Oscar, we're coming up on a break. We got to go. Thanks for the call.
All right.
And thanks for coming to the auction. We'll see you later.
Absolutely.
All right. We got one segment left, guys.
Can't believe it.
Fastest 2 hours on the week.
Anywhere.
All right, we still got Brent from L.A. and Edward in Riverside. We'll get to you guys right after this. You're listening to Motor Slingers right here on
the Gunslinger Syndicated Radio Network.
And we'll be right back.